Good morning. Morning, everybody. Hope you are all well and happy Friday. Who's here? David, James, Dill, Omar, Silver. Hope you guys are all well. Omar, congratulations, mate. Well done. Passing the MFF challenge. What account was it? What number? 10K, 20K, 50K? 50K. Well done, buddy. So as you rightly pointed out, it's stage 1 done. Many people have fallen, as I did myself at stage 2. You probably have to consider it in 3 stages: your 50, your challenge, your verification, and then your buffer stage, right? So it gets easier. The good thing is it does get easier as you go on, but as you rightly said, nothing is there yet. So sometimes taking a wee break, sometimes taking a day or 2 off just to kind of go, and then come back. Can sometimes help, because I know it's exciting, but we want to get you passing that verification, get in that buffer, and then that's it. You're done. Trading becomes easy. But well done, mate. That's it's great to hear. I always like hearing that. So Ash getting a free repeat, Silver on the verification, Omar passing the challenge. It's great. It's all good. It's what I love to see. So I as I talked a little bit about, I kind of, as we talked, I was up early this morning for some reason. I was up at 4:30 in the morning, waking up, and if I have trades on, I usually have a quick check, and obviously the ones that we had yesterday, which looked very good, kind of flipped back a little bit. Now that's fine. That's whatever, that happens. But as I was kind of waking up, I was kind of thinking little things like, do you know what? I feel like I need to go back, not from a profitability standpoint, but just from a personal standpoint, where, the last time I did a proper back test on certain things was about 2 years ago. So quite some time. And hold on, I'll let you type, David. I'm not sure if I'm coming through okay. I know you said you had problems yesterday. Anyway, sorry, I'll go on. So, and what I'm thinking, and specifically in terms of the breakout, I was thinking this morning, because there's a few things there where, hold on, let me just, 1 second. I think David's new, so I'm not sure he knows how to work the platform yet. Yeah, so, I think, I'm very happy with my strategy. I'm very happy with all those kind of aspects in terms of price action, what I'm doing, etc. But I feel like I could be a bit better. I feel like there's more that can be made, and I'm talking specifically about a trade management perspective. So, as I said, I've been in the game almost 7 years in summer, so a long time, right? And if I kind of give you an analogy, where, let's say, you're a professional athlete, you come onto the scene at 18 years old, right? In 7 years' time, you're mid-20s, you're 25, right? So, you're not even in your prime yet. You're still looking to improve. And any trader that comes on and tells you, listen, I'm there, or I've made it, is a liar, because you're always trying to improve. And, within my data, my back testing and what I do, yes, my edge is there, but I just feel like that from what my mind is thinking, again, this is just something I was thinking about this morning, is that I feel like it could be better. Going from 20% per annum, 20 to 30, to averaging more of a 30%. I think, even though that it will be difficult, I think it's there. And I think it's something that's going to come down to, and again, when I backtested, what I've not taken into consideration is my personal improvement. So possibly 2 years ago, when I did all this backtesting, all that, Jesus, when I do it every few years, I guess, it doesn't take into account that you are personally a better trader now, or I'm personally a better trader now. And I think specifically in this breakout strategy, and more specifically within the stop loss locations, i.e. we go to a few of our trades, right? Let's take, is EURUSD a good example? EURUSD may not be a great example, but certainly the 225, okay? Certainly the 225. When we think about trades like Pound New Zealand, Pound Aussie, Pound New Zealand that got so close, the risk reward wasn't great. How do I improve on this risk reward. And I think there's certainly something there that I need to test. And not only that, but also with take profits. Now, I'm not saying that this doesn't work. Obviously, this works. But I'm going to go in properly now and see how I can refine. Again, talking about that, I think I obviously have improved and got more experience over 2 years. How I can improve this slightly to get a little bit more R's out of it. So that's what I'm going to do over the next a few months, and see if I can tweak and find ways to make my returns a little bit better. Because, that's what I want to do, even though we have to give the trade room to move and larger stop loss. I agree with all that. But again, doesn't account because the fact that I'm selective, a lot of these breakout trades that we see, they go and they don't come back. And I'm talking again specifically breakout. So I think, there's something there where, we can get your possible 2R, maybe, again, I need to test this and find out, but possibly a little bit more out of these trades and not settling for the 0.5s, the 0.7s. Now, what also is a big distinction here, when we talk about 0.5, it doesn't seem like a lot, right? But again, because I'm selective, obviously my risk is higher. So if you go to somebody who's trading more and may be risking 0.5% per trade, right? Their 2% is 4R. Okay, so that's an important distinction that we have to obviously remember. But yeah, I just think there's there, even possibly with the breakout retest. If we look at the breakout retest yesterday on Aussie CAD, which is still running, and I think it's running okay, looks pretty good. But last time I've tested it, I did think that I need to give the trade a little bit more room to move. And if you remember New Zealand yen, which was a 3+R, that happened. It kind of came up here and then moved quite sharply to the downside. Okay, so again, maybe there's something there if the data suggests it, that because I'm better, being a little bit more aggressive with it. Again, I don't know. I just want to go and find this out. Because I always say, as I said, if you don't continue to improve, if you say you've made it, I don't think that's the right way of thinking. And anybody says that, I just don't. You think about Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. They're not going to stop at 26 years old and say I'm the best now and that's it. And I always think there's an area, certainly from a testing perspective, that could be improved. And I think specifically in terms of the breakout and stop location. So I'm going to forward test this over the next couple of months and see what I can see. So essentially, I'll just make myself a Excel sheet and take my normal trades, keep the normal risk and TPs, etc. Because that has its edge, that does work. But maybe go into different stop locations in terms of possibly even moving down to the 30-minute for a stop location, maybe using MAs, maybe using an individual candlestick, just to see what the data is on it, right? Because okay, we go back to, let's take a trade of yours, Omar, USD Swiss, right? I know this wasn't a trade of mine, but on these one that really moved, let's say the level was just down here, for example, we're taking the break here. Okay, whereas my previous anchor, well, maybe this is not a great example because your anchor's there, right? So the risk reward is good. But I think you know what I mean. Just trying to find a way where I can improve the data on this by using the bit more experience that I've got. So that's what I'm going to do. And obviously, I'll let you guys know how I get on. I was even thinking and before I'll get into the charts in a second, but I was even thinking in terms of these three trades, right? The last three, the Euro CAD, right? The Aussie CAD and the 225, which by the way, these are still running. So they could prove me wrong in what I'm thinking. And also we had GU, where, taking profits and just taking a full profit at 1-to-1, which is 2%, actually yielded better results, right? So GU would have been in 2%. Excuse me, guys. ACAD would have been, ACAD is a breakout retest, so maybe that's different. EuroCAD would have been a 2%. Well, let's just say this, 2%, 2%, 2%, and 225. Let's say we lose that, and that's a -2. You're still out there with 4%, where it's looking like we're going to get less at the moment. At the moment, anything can happen. So there's things like that. I had a month in May last year where I won 9 out of 10 trades, all for less than 1 hour. And I would have made probably another 8% than what I actually did with things coming back down. So again, little things like that, I'm going to go and figure out and see if there's an additional edge I can find from my personal strategy. So that's what I'm going to do. As I said, you usually have, I haven't had that kind of, not realization, but that urge to go and test in a while, because, I find that it kind of comes and goes, with this aggressive, etc. But I just think, again, something I never considered, and, I'm not, as I always say to you, I'm not the best trader in the world. I do have experience. I'm a good trader. I'm a profitable trader. But I think there's a little something there because I'm a better trader than I was when the last time I test. So I'm going to do it. Yeah, Silver. Yeah. I just think there's a way to make it more profitable, and not talking about anything to do with the actual strategy. That works. But this is why trade management is so important. It's so key, right? When you have that strategy, trade management is the additional side of things, and obviously with the psychology comes in as well. Yeah, correct. Yeah. But that's also that's analyzing what our additional stop. I'm trying to think of a good example, of recent example. Maybe it was that GN short, which wasn't a great trade, which I think was up here, right? This was a terrible. This was a psychological error, right? Where I think we missed TP, it came up, and we got stopped out for break even. Something in here, and again, in hindsight, this looks like unbelievable, right? But I just think in terms of 100 trades, I just think there's something there. I think there's something there. But I gotta go and find it. Yeah, and also what you could say, and one of the things I'm thinking is, if we go down to, let's go back here, right? Let's go back just for a GN, and again, I haven't looked back at this, so I don't know whether this is going to be right or not. Moving down to a smaller time frame. So here was our original stop, and remember, this was a bad trade by me. This was a bad execution, etc. So this was actually a good trade that I messed up. But there's possibly something here where you're taking a break there, and you're reducing your risk by probably 30%. So yeah, I agree. So trade management, that's all I'm talking about. Nothing to do with strategy, just purely trade management. Anyway, this is the game, right? If we can make slight improvements as we go along, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Okay, let's get into the markets. That was my thought this morning when I was lying in bed thinking, I think there's something there. I think I can do this. Okay, we've had obviously a bit of fundamental news out yesterday, which caused this market to drop quite significantly. We are at these lows now. Bias is a little bit more risk off, we have to say, from a daily perspective. Yeah, the strategy is great, Silva. The strategy works. Absolutely works. I mean, Omar, you use the strategy now, right, as well. Maybe slight differences. That's kind of Martin does, but it certainly works. But yeah, I think there's definitely ways to improve it and ways to tinker it, Rafa Benitez style. Yeah. But it's just a process. That's it, Silver. It's just a process. You could have a certain strategy that you develop over time. And as I said, you put that analogy into a sporting example where you start trading, you start playing football at 18, at 25, you're still not in your prime. You're still learning still. You're still doing, and that's essentially how I'm looking at it. Yeah, that's exactly right, Silver. You might find something and say, Ryan, look at this. Look what I found. Here's the data on it. Aaron might find something. Omar might find something, because I know we all trade kind of similarly. And, 5 heads are better than 1, right? 5 heads are better than 1. But again, it's not saying that my strategy is not profitable. I am profitable, but I'm just trying to improve it. Yeah, the monster. The monster strat. That would be a good name for it, the monster. Okay, so we've come down to this area, right? The MS, yeah. The MS. The RTFX MS, or Simplicity Trading MS. Okay, so, okay, let's get into trading. So we've come down here at these lows. It does look a lot more bearish now on account of that fundamental news coming out. So the fundamentals won in this case rather than technicals. possibly a little bit of a retracement before moving to the downside in terms of a trading perspective. Looking for confirmation underneath this area for, to go a little bit more full-blown risk off, in which case you could finally see that yen coming into a little bit of strength. So don't discount a reaction. We have got a reaction before, so from a technical perspective, but the bias has to be, downward action right now because of how that daily is. We're now looking at that kind of rejection in this particular candle, which looks less of like this and more of potentially a little pullback to continue down. So this could flip, absolutely flip. We've seen market rally time and time again. So waiting for that confirmation of a break underneath here for full-blown, not full-blown risk off, but certainly a bit more risk off nature is probably the way to see that. But again, don't discount a rally in this market because we've seen it when it shouldn't happen, and it might happen again. The dollar is looking okay. Dollar's looking okay. Break above that structure. The daily's all right. Not pretty, but it's all right. 4 hour does look a little bit better. Again, not pretty, but it's all right. So with where the markets are, you're probably expecting a bit of a dollar push. We're above that 20 now. You've got your V reversal on smaller time frames. If we do go to the smaller time frames, we're kind of getting a little bit of bullish pressure here. Again, this price action isn't nice, but we have broken above this anchor. And we're looking if we can close on this hourly in 15 minutes when London opens and we see a push. That is probably your bias with the dollar, certainly today. You'd expect that, with how markets are. Dollar rise continuing with that longer term trend. So flip-flopping around. But today's bias for the dollar is up. Today's bias for the dollar is up. RSI shows down in the dollar. Does it? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the RSI. I mean, you could look at this, but for me, it's looking a little bit more bullish. The other option is, are we going to get this? Which would be a lot more healthier for that dollar in terms of an ABC corrective, which could happen. Yeah, it could happen. We just need a little bit more confirmation somewhere. The daily isn't great. It's not very nice. But the daily wasn't nice here either. Daily wasn't nice here. It's not a really nice chart, but yesterday was okay. Yesterday was okay. Yeah. Yeah, possibly, yeah. I mean, it could do. Yeah, we could lose momentum and we could have that complex corrective because of how price action looks here, because it's quite impulsive. As I said, this would look nicer to me if we get that complex before continuation. I just have that gut feeling that it may push, but, with how the markets are, just have that gut feeling. But let's see. Need a little bit more confirmation. Morning, funny. Hey, C-Note. Okay, watch this today. Watch this today. We'll go through our open trades and the closed trades. So EuroCAD got stopped for 1% gain on this push. That's okay. Aussie CAD is looking pretty good. We've moved our stop again, reduced our risk. Everything here still looks great. The 4 hour still looks good. The daily still looks good. Looking to possibly get down to around that 200 on the daily. But price action certainly looks more bearish than bullish. And again, very similar. Looking for that swing. So if we do get a break underneath, we can move our stop to this anchor here because the swing is then confirmed, the break below, and happily continue down with that trend. So Aussie CAD could be a nice trade. Could be a nice trade, but we've just got to let it do what it needs to do. And be patient, give it some room to move, but it does look good to the downside. 225 was obviously a wee bit frustrating. We were a few pips away from having 3 TP1s and being quite happy and rosy with our day, knowing that we can't really lose, or we can't lose any money. We're guaranteed making money. But as I've said before, markets have rallied and it's still in. We've still got a little bit to go before our stop loss. And I'm happy to just accept the risk on this. Whatever happens will happen. Slight rejection off this 200. The daily doesn't look nice, right? The daily doesn't look nice at all. But my rules dictate that I cannot touch this until it's finished of either hitting TP1 or stop loss. Okay, CAD yen was one I was looking at. CAD yen on this 30-minute 1 hour. The issue with these counter trend ideas will be this 200. I'm not sure whether this will be in the way. I'm not sure whether we get it or not, but I'm looking for a retest of this area. Obviously around that 200 back here, around that 20 for continuation to the downside. Confluence has come in terms of risk sentiment, and confluence has come in a very simple hammer on a massive extension in those yen pairs. A little bit of volume, not ideal, but a little bit of volume coming in when price is pausing up here. So, you know, the idea of buying the yen makes sense to me. I know it's been massively weak, but it makes sense to me right now. You know, certainly if we have a drop below, with how far it's gone, you know, and the markets do wobble, that yen should massively strengthen up. It should. It should. So whether this is too far gone, we'll have to wait and see. But that's essentially what I'm looking for CAD yen. And waiting to see whether the risk reward lets us in if we get it on account of that 200 on the 1 hour. Pound USD is still in play. No aggressive entry on this. No breakout on this as we are breaking through, but we can look for potential, if this sustains, a breakout retest movement to the downside. As I said before, you know, going with that trend made sense. I did think about this as an aggressive entry, and it turned out to be actually a good decision here. So if I remove all this, so we can't see this candle here, it did have increasing volume. I just didn't like price action here. It kind of reminded me of the gold one I took that was a loser. So again, kind of learning the strategy as we go along. It's just something about it that I didn't like. And if this second one had closed, it probably would have looked a little bit better. But anyway, I didn't get in on it. And now looking for a retest. Continuation to the downside. Continuation of that daily trend. Buying the dollar against the pound makes sense to me. The good thing about the 4-hour breakout retest is obviously if we get our catalyst, you're selling that candle. So it's actually my favorite setup of all of them, really. But they are a bit more rare. So pound USD to the downside, ready to move. Looks nice, makes sense. I like it. I like it. USD CAD. USD CAD is still there, but I believe today we probably have to take it out, depending on what price action looks like. I don't think I would want this to turn into a complex. If it does, then you know, it can't be as impulsive as what we're getting right now. You know, if we're looking for an ABC, we'd have to get price action that looks similar to this. In which case, yeah, look for aggressive here, but ultimately looking for a breakdown to the down to the lows. And very similar with pound dollar, right? Where pound dollar, people saying buying the pound against the dollar looks pretty good. But from a daily perspective, we always have to remember that higher time frames, that it was on a downtrend, right? And we still have this, right? We still have this. So although the dollar looks strong, although this looks like it's pushing up, we don't know that until it's possibly confirmed of a clear break of structure here, where it doesn't look as good for continuation shorts as it does for continuation longs. So I'm going to keep it on. As I said, I don't think it's going to set up, but I'm going to keep it on and see what happens next week. And the last one was Aussie New Zealand. This is a little bit interesting. Aussie New Zealand. The problem here is this, right? That daily hammer. We are a little bit extended, which is why my gut is telling me not to like this. But the context is decent, right? If we hadn't had this wick, then it would have looked a lot better. But we do have our complex corrective in. So this is good. We are on an uptrend. The 4-hour does look good. The problem is that daily hammer, which is coming on a little bit of increased volume, which I don't like. So if we're getting kind of similar to this type of price action, I just worry about that moving to the upside on account of it. If we had a wick that we take the breakout from, right? If we had a wick here, and let's say the wick was there and we took a break above it, so we mitigate that wick, then yeah, that would look good. But I think even though I put it on, you know, it's a good example of a nice context. I think for me, again, always going with that gut feel and you know, you have to be happy and confident with the trade that you're taking. This one is not it. So good context, but that just worries me a little bit. So if it goes, I'm happy to watch it go. You know, I'd rather be, what's the saying? You'd rather be out the market wishing you were in than in the market wishing you were out. So yeah, there's just too much of a question mark. Too much of a question mark. 1 hour looks down. 1 hour. Yeah, it looks a little bit shorty, doesn't it? Looks a bit shorty from this push. You usually want to see these sustained, and it's not. So I agree. Yeah, I think it's a trade not to be taken. Not to be taken. But good example of ones I don't take. Okay, let's go into some questions. No Name had some questions. Oh yeah, my watch list. So apologies, guys. Some of you might not know this. I realize that there's a lot of new people in here that may not quite understand my watch list. There is a video in the Trading Academy on it, but I'll just go through it very quickly now on what I mean. So the date is obviously the date. The risk sentiment, this is analyzing our SPX, deciding which risk sentiment are we risk on, are we risk off, are we neutral. Remember, risk on is more favoring towards the commodity currencies, which are the Aussie, CAD, and Kiwi. And risk off is favoring more towards the risk off assets such as the Swiss and yen. Why are they risk off? Because they've got negative interest rates, but the US dollar has also been acting like that as well. So if it's risk off, in order to put the odds in our favor, we're looking at buying that Swiss, buying the yen, potentially buying the USD. And if it's risk on, i.e. markets are pushing, investors are confident, stocks are pushing up, people are happy, looking at buying the Aussie, the CAD, and the Kiwi against these risk off currencies, i.e. we're trying to put the odds in our favor. Breakout retest level broken. So this is my 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, and daily strategy. If I get the context that I like, i.e. cut with handle, V reversal, or head and shoulders, and it is broken, price is broken a key area. Let's say this is our key area. And I'm just waiting for a retest. These are the pairs that go in here, okay? Breakout retest, potential prior to break. These are the ones like CAD yen, although CAD yen's actually broken, but it broke after I saw it because I did my scan a few hours ago. These are the ones that haven't broke the level, but they're having the correct context. So they may be, for example, why am I doing that? Let's say this is the area. Possibly there's something like this, right? They might be potentially formed our cup or our first structure and maybe forming our second structure where we're looking for it to break above the level. So let's say this is EU, right? Today it is, let me remove this. Today it's here, right? So it goes in this section. If it goes tomorrow and it breaks, or Monday and it breaks, it removes up to this section saying the level is broken, looking for a retest. And finally, breakout 4 hour daily chart. These are my pairs that are ready for potential breaks. So I only took breakouts on the 4 hour or daily, obviously, saying here. And these are the pairs that I can take breakouts in. So pound USD, obviously, as I talk about on stream, I'll talk about my watch list, what I'm looking for, what I need in order to take a trade. And when I do take a trade, it goes down in the section here. So currency pair, as you see, ECAD, short 4 hour, TP1 hit, yes, and this was stopped out for a profit. Aussie CAD in, short 1 hour, TP1 hit, yes, stop moved. 225 long, 4 hour, no, and meh. Sometimes I put silly stuff in there when it doesn't look as good. But that's the watch list. That's the watch list. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, there's some other questions we had. No name, cut with handles clear. The handle is the most important part. Okay, what I'll do, no name, because this is a kind of a whole thing in itself. For my, as I said, with the Trading Academy in the back end, I'm working quite hard on basically revamping it, sprucing it up. I want to do a proper kind of, it's not, again, not a paid course for members, but a proper course on my strategy with examples, winning examples, losing examples, going into detail on everything. But it just takes time to do. You know, with some of the other videos, I recorded them about a year and a half ago. So some of them I want to do again. And by the time we kind of relaunch, let's say, in the next month or two, I want that whole Trading Academy to be basically revamped. And I will start to bring back the Friday workshops again. Once we kind of relaunch again, I will bring back the Friday workshop. I just have too much stuff at the back end that I'm doing right now to make it all work, essentially. So I'll do that in a potential Friday workshop, and I might do it next week. I might say at the end of a stream, right, if you're on the stream, this is for you, and I'll go over it a little bit there. Okay, what else? Silver. I think silver you had some. What have we got here? Gold. Gold. This I mean this. I know you're saying ABC, right? It's actually not the correct way to use it, Silver, because it's a pullback. So we've got to be looking here, A, B, C, right? But if you're more Elliott wave looking at it, then yeah, possibly. I see the context you're looking for. So this is just the lows. This is our first initial A wave. This is B. Well, this is actually not B because we've broken underneath the low, so it's technically not B even. But this is okay. This is a problem. Let's have a look at gold. ABC on 4 hour. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay. Looking here. It's not, I mean, it's not the cleanest. It's not a very nice one, but technically it is one. So, okay, I see that. It's actually okay on the 4 hour from where it is, but from here to there, breaking on, it is kind of retesting at consolidation for a break. Yeah, I could see that. The daily's just, it's just not nice. You know, I couldn't really say where that's going. There's no clear direction just yet. But we've had some double rejection here on the daily. Yes, okay, the path of least resistance is to the upside. Buying gold right now, does it make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. So you're looking on here for a break above this area. I mean, the context is there. Yeah, the context is there. There you go. Breakout. If you're looking for a breakout retest, yeah. Just comes into whether this becomes a problem. That's the only issue with it. So I understand the bias. Yep. The idea of buying it. Yep. 200, you may get some dynamic resistance to price from the way that I look at it. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. I could see gold rising. Put it that way. I could see gold rising. XBRUSD. XBRUSD. What's that? I don't even know what that is. Oh, WTI. Oil. 30-minute. I like the bias of oil. I know we've seen some fundamental stuff out about supply concerns, right? But that doesn't really matter to me. So yeah, I would be inclined to look at this. So I agree with the short bias on oil. If you're looking there, slight fake. I mean, I guess you sent that before that candle occurred, right? Yeah. So at that point in time, if you got a breakout retest, yeah, that would make sense. But I think that momentum has kind of shifted a little bit on that previous candle. Doesn't mean it's not valid, right? Doesn't mean it's not valid if you do get an additional break after that. Right, from this. Not ready to go. Not ready to go to the upside. As I said, I think bias to the downside is not bad. I'd rather have a downside bias than upside bias. But it may be disregarded on potential some impulse movement to the upside on that particular one. So probably gone for you anyway, right? Euro Swiss. Now that's nice. Euro Swiss. Let's have a look at Euro Swiss. Oh, that's coming off as well. Could be a potential 20 catch up on that 4 hour. Swiss possibly coming into a little bit of strength if the index does decide to have a little bit of a fall to the downside. Again, I think that's one that's probably left you, right? You'd want that to break here. I see your level, but you know you wanted that to break right now, right? Which has kind of come off since you put it on, so it's probably one that's just got to possibly go away. Did look nice though. Euro yen. Yeah, I fancy some strength into the yen today. I fancy a bit of strength in the yen today. This is probably one that left without you, right? Probably one that's just going to leave without you. Probably gone a little bit too far, but yeah, I mean, it was valid. Absolutely valid, yeah. Absolutely valid. I presume my CAD yen is probably gone as well, yeah. Yeah, if I'm going to give a pick for today, it would be yen strength. I think it seems a little bit of uncertainty. Markets don't like uncertainty. A bit of yen strength would make sense. Yeah, a few of them gone, right? Hey guys, sorry I'm at work. Ryan, I'm in this trade and already hit TP1. Took 50% off and letting it run. Do you use fib extension to calculate stops, or what is your advice here? I will watch the stream after. So, Aussie dollar. Do you use the fib extension to calculate stops? I presume you mean TPs, right? The 161.8 extension. I mean, that's part of your 161.8 is part of your FX propulsion strategy. 161.8, you know, and people, I mean, essentially, if you're using a fib, a 50% pullback, let's say 50%, you use that extension tool to calculate your 161, and that's where people take profits. So I don't use it, no. I personally don't use it. But if you're talking about the pullback to calculate stops, I mean, there's various things you can do with it, right? You can take your stop up here. If you like a 50%, you can take your stop above the catalyst. If you consider the 61.8, like I do, to be the line in the sand for healthy trends, you can put your stop above there. So there's various ways you can do it. 1, 2, 3, going from obviously more aggressive to more aggressive. So in terms of my advice for Aussie dollar, let's have a look at Aussie dollar. Is you let that run. That's my advice. I could see the Aussie potentially weakening off a little bit, possibly a little bit dynamic support to price around that 200, but it looks certainly a little bit more shorty than long. So I would be holding that. You know, a little bit more risk off. It would make sense that those come off a little bit, certainly against the dollar. Yeah, just hold it. Hold it. Let it run. Let it run. How you want to trail it, I mean, this is what I was kind of talking about this morning, but how you want to trail it is up to you. But personally, looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Morning, Griff. Hope you're doing well, mate. Okay. Anything else you guys want me to look at before I head off? So for me, probably no setups today. CAD yen gone. I'll go and enjoy my Friday. Playing golf this afternoon, which is always nice. And oh, look at this, by the way. Look at this. Before I go, look at this NZD CAD aggressive. Just completely running on down. Go, baby, go. My USD knock got stopped, but we got clipped. Got clipped. Look at this bastard. Excuse my language, sorry. So the stop was here, got clipped out, and then it did move to the upside. Whether I could have stopped that, I had a look at it, I thought, maybe around those moving averages, but I think that was just unlucky. I would think that was unlucky. We had the premise right. Just got clipped out. So right now with my aggressive, as I said, with my aggressive, I'm so excited about this. I can't tell you how excited. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Where we are on 18.2, but that should go up by however much NZD CAD wants to go. The only issue I'm having is if we look at the recent ones I've taken, right? We've had loss, win. Okay, fair enough. The NZD CAD was big, and fair enough. This was okay. Or if we go from USD yen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So I would like to get a little bit more winners. Okay, trying to learn from, okay, well, why is this losing? Why is this losing? Which I go back and obviously analyze it. And fair enough, I didn't like this one. I shouldn't have taken that one because I didn't like it. So I shouldn't have taken it. But trying to get at least 50% win rate on that payoff would be great. Would be great. But NZ card is good. Just because I can't be arsed, Omar. That's perfectly it. I mean, that's essentially it. Because I mean, for me, there's no rush as well. There's no rush. You know, I like forward testing it. I know it certainly takes longer, but I know with the data that I get, it's 100%, right? Because sometimes with your back testing, even though it's great and absolutely should do it, certainly if you're learning a strategy, etc. But for me, because I've got that strategy in place, I just prefer to forward test now. And as I said, there's no if, buts, or maybes on that. Maybe you put an extra candle ahead just to make sure, you know. So that's why. Oh, I thought you were talking about my new or testing out the breakout as well. But yeah, that's why. I mean, that's why, Omar. That's why. It's not that. I mean, again, Omar. It's not that I wouldn't back test it. As I said, I just prefer now to forward test it. You know, getting to the stage now where it's almost implemented, and I'm really confident in this data, more confident in this data than I would be in back testing data. Don't ask, you know, just from a personal standpoint. Yeah. Looking at AC, do we wait for confirmation the candle closed below structure or previous low on the 1 hour or 4 hour? Do you mean to move our stop on ACAD? That was a good question, actually. Well, because we broke underneath the lows here, right? So this swing is now confirmed. Okay. I wanted to move it there because we had an anchor and we had this, so I just wanted to protect it a little bit. We will have an anchor here if this continues to respect this area, i.e., doesn't fake out to the upside. In which case we can move it because it is a valid anchor. It's not. It's. I think I said a swing before, but that was actually incorrect. It's probably not a valid swing. So I'm gonna watch this. I'll watch this still. You kind of can't. I mean, if you really wanted to move it down to break even, you can move it down to break even. If you wait 30 minutes to create an anchor here, you could move it down to here. I wouldn't mind that at all. So this is the thing, and this is why I was talking about trade management at the start. Trade management is so personal to everybody because, you know, as I said, even though this is the way I do it, you could take the same premise and the things that I do and say, do you know what? Well, I want to do this. I want to take profits down here rather than here. I want to do etc. etc. I can give you the tools of the strategy, but trade management is so personal. You know, it's so personal to what you like, and that's why it's important that you go and find out what you properly like. But in terms of your question, I'm just going to wait for a little bit more. I'm going to wait for a little bit more. As I said, if this wants to move down, it doesn't matter if I move my stop here or here, right? I'm still looking to capture more and more. So for me, yep, on this closure in 15, 16, 17 minutes, that anchor is valid, so it'll be a valid place. But I'm just going to wait. No, it's not how I work, Dale. It's not how I do it. Morning, Lamb. I don't like it because if I'm in a winning position and I add more to it, and again, I understand the premise, right? I understand it. I'm never going to say nothing doesn't work apart from Mamba FX, but I don't like the fact that, let's say I added a position here and it did come up and for a potentially plus 1 hour or whatever it is or 2 hour trade, I'm getting nothing out of it. But I was already, I already got the correct entry in here. So adding something in, it doesn't really resonate with me. Resonate with me, but it makes sense, However, if this had, let's say this had done this and then broke out retest, giving me one of these again, then yeah, I would. If it resets up, then I would, absolutely. Because it's still in a nice position. Right, it's still in it from a 4 hour perspective, broken underneath lows. We're not extended. This could move down to the two, roughly around here, in which case that would be great, right? So, yeah, just from a personal standpoint, I don't like adding. Morning, Lamb. I'll just let you type, Dill, before I head off. But that's the main theme for me today is I'm trying to improve. I'm always trying to get better. And over the next few months, I'm going to, again, use my increased knowledge since the last time I backtested and try and get a wee bit better. Small increments over time to do a lot of things. People, what was the saying? People overestimate what they can do in 2 weeks or something, and then underestimate what they can do in 2 years or something like that. But that's essentially what it is. Trying to improve. Yeah, exactly, Dill. Then you have improved, Dill. Honestly, there's so many people in here that have massively improved since they've joined on, which is great to see. I still remember the first charts you sent, Dill. I couldn't even understand any of them, so it's good to see. And Omar passing, I mean, that's great. That's great. I love that. Okay, guys, have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Trade safe.